Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So our group will be presenting a topic, pedagogy, teaching and learning strategies in KSSM. My name is Nurul Najiha. So I am a first presenter. I will explain about the definition of pedagogy. So pedagogy is defined simply as the method and practice of teaching. In this context, it is referring to the way of the teachers deliver the content of the curriculum to a class. So it is basically means that pedagogy, it is not solely focused on the material used by the teachers, but it is about the process that have been used in the classroom, the strategy that used by the teachers to lead the achievement of the students. So the KSSM is Curriculum Standard Sekolah Menengah. So in this pedagogy, there are 5 teaching and learning strategies in KSSM. So as you can see, the first one is inquiry approaches, second one is problem-based learning, the third one project-based learning, the fourth one is cooperative learning, and the last one, the fifth one, is the STEM approach. So basically, all of these are the pedagogy, the method of teaching and learning that involving the teachers and students in a classroom. So these pedagogy are ways of improving the way of learning of students, which before usually students just listen to the teachers, which is one-way communication. But these methods helps students improving their skills, their abilities in terms of their way of thinking, the way they speak, their action in the classroom. Furthermore, this could help students to be more active and engage more in the classroom, which create two-way communication between students and teachers, and also helps the students to discuss with their peers, and all of these are beneficial for students itself in the future. So to know more about all of the pedagogy, I will pass to the next presenter, Atira, to explain about inquiry approaches.
Okay, now we proceed to inquiry approaches. Okay, before we go detail in inquiry approaches, let's look at the meaning of word inquiry. What is inquiry? Inquiry is an approach to learning that involves a process of exploring the material. Why exploring the material? Because inquiry is indirect learning, involves exploratory and discovery activities related to the process of obtaining information through questioning and problem solving. Okay, next proceed to inquiry approaches. What is inquiry approaches? Inquiry approaches is known as inquiry-based learning. That is mean it is a learning approach that emphasizes student questions, ideas, and observations. Since inquiry-based learning is the process of finding and investigating problems, constructing hypotheses, designing experiments, collecting data, and drawing conclusions to solve problems. So this form of learning enhances their comprehension and understanding rather than memorizing facts such as taking notes. Because inquiry approach encourage students to discuss among others. Okay, this slide shows the example of inquiry-based learning or inquiry approach. The example is group project, asking questions, research project, make hypothesis, make investigation, analysis data, and collect data. So these situation shows inquiry-based learning or inquiry approaches encourage students to discuss among them. Okay, then this is the inquiry model we call 5E learning model. This 5E learning model have 5 steps, which is number 1 is step engagement. Okay, step engagement is teacher asking about students' knowledge that will make them become curious. So, when they become curious, this will make students curious about the topic and show interest in learning. Okay, then step number 2 is exploration. In exploration, teacher encourage students to collaborate in group. So, this condition will make students being a good thinker and discuss among their group. Third step is explanation. This step, teacher asks for the justifications with evidence from the students. So, students will describe their questions and answer based on their observation and understanding. Fourth step is elaboration. So, a teacher ensure the student use correct definition with some concept of application. This shows student will apply definitions, explanations, and skills in new situations that are similar. Last step is evaluation. Evaluation step shows teacher observe the student when applying new concepts and skills. So, student will answer the question based on observations, evidence, and they also shows their understanding about the concept or skill. Okay, then this is the types of inquiry. We have 4 types of inquiry, which is confirmation inquiry, structured inquiry, guided inquiry, and open inquiry. Okay, first confirmation inquiries. Confirmation inquiry is students validate certain concepts based on the results of previous research. Secondly, structured inquiry is students conduct research based on questions and steps determined by the teacher. Third, guided inquiry is students carry out research according to the teacher's instructions. Last, open inquiry is students perform research according to the procedures and questions provided. So this is the benefits of inquiry-based learning or inquiry approach. So, as I said just now, inquiry approaches involve the students to think, to observe, to investigate, to give the idea and to discuss, right? So, those activities will give some benefits to them, such as it nurture passions and talents of students because they more engaged among them, more focused, and become more curious to explore, investigate, and find the information. Then, students become more motivated in learning. So, when they're having some engagement in their learning, in their group discussion, they become motivated to learn more. Then, develop research skill and become creative thinker. Okay, so inquiry approaches activities such as asking questions, right? So it will help the student development into creative thinker. So students use their thinking skill for get some ideas. So when students explore to find the information, so they will make conclusion based on their observation and data. Okay, last but not least, does inquiry approach effective for teaching and learning? Okay, basically, inquiry approaches or inquiry-based learning is highly effective method of teaching because this learning work at every level of education such as primary, secondary school and university. So, this is because inquiry approach encourage the curiosity and self-directed exploration by students toward the subjects they learn. And the result, students will be more focused on their study. In simple words, by approaching students by inquiry-based learning, it will make students good in their knowledge, skill, motivations, attitudes, and creativity.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone, it's me Atika and I will be presenting about problem-based learning, so stay tuned. Problem-based learning or PBL is a student-centered pedagogy in which students learn about a subject through the experience of solving an open-ended problem found in trigger material. PBL process does not focus on problem solving with a defined solution, but it allows for the development of other desirable skills and attributes. This includes knowledge acquisition, enhanced group collaboration, and communication. So, this is how PBL works. The tutorial process involves working in small groups of learners. Each student takes on a role within the groups that may be formal or informal, and the role often alternate. It is focused on the students' reflection and reasoning to construct their own learning. The process are following the Maastricht 7-jump process, which involves clarifying terms, defining problems, brainstorming, structuring, and hypotheses, learning objectives, independent study, and synthesis. In short, it is identifying what they already know, what they need to know, and how, and where to access new information that may lead to the resolution of the problem. The role of tutor is to facilitate learning by supporting, guiding, and monitoring the learning process. The tutor aims to build students' confidence when addressing problems, while also expanding their understanding. This process is based on constructivism. These are the 7 stages in problem-based learning. First is problem scenario or defining problem. Second, identify key facts or clarifying terms. Third, student need to brainstorm the missing information. Fourth, student need to structuring and do hypothesis, or they have to do self-directed learning. Fifth, they have to learn the objectives, or they have to assimilate the new knowledge that they have gathered. Six, they have to apply the information that they have gathered. And the last one is analyze the result. Next is about the advantages and disadvantages of problem-based learning. For the advantages, the first one, it will enhance student-centered learning. In problem-based learning, the students are actively involved and they will foster active learning and also retention and development of lifelong learning skill. It will encourage self-directed learning by confronting students with problems and stimulates the development of deep learning. Second is upholds lifelong learning. PBL will emphasize to lifelong learning by developing in students the potential to determine their own goals, locate appropriate resources for learning, and assume responsibility for what they need to know. Third is prominence on comprehension and not facts. This is because PBL will focus on engaging students in finding solution to real-life situation and pertinent contextualized problem. Lastly is in-depth learning and constructivist approach. PBL fosters learning by involving students with the interaction of learning materials. They relate their concept they study with everyday activities and enhance their knowledge and understanding. Students also activate their prior knowledge and builds on existing conceptual knowledge frameworks. Next is the disadvantages of PBL. The first one is time consuming. Even though PBL is great for the ability to solve real-life problems, but we have to invest more time to assess student learning and prepare course material. So it's very time consuming. Second one is traditional assumption of student. The problem of PBL is the traditional assumption of students. Most of the students might have spent their previous years of education assuming their teachers are the main disseminator of knowledge. Because of this understanding toward the subject matter, students may lack the ability to simply wonder about something in the initial year of problem-based learning. Next is the role of instructor. The instructor have to change their traditional teaching methodologies in order to incorporate problem-based learning. Their task is to question students' knowledge, beliefs, gives only hints to correct their mistake and guide the students in their research. All these features of problem-based learning may be foreign to some instructor, hence they find it difficult to alter their past habit. The last one is students' evaluation. The instructor have to adapt new assessment method to evaluate the students' achievement. They have to incorporate written examination with modified essay question, practical examination, peer and self-assessment, etc. Problem-based has also been considered slightly more favorable to female participants, whilst having equivocal impact on their male counterpart when compared to lecture-based learning.
Assalamualaikum. I am Dayangku Nur Aslin Awangko Yusuf, and I will talk about teaching and learning strategies in KSSM, specifically on project-based learning. Project-based learning, or PBL in short, is a pedagogical model for classroom activity that switch from the usual classroom practices of short, isolated, teacher-centered lessons to instructional approach that emphasizes student-centered learning, long-term, interdisciplinary, and integrated with real-world issues and practices. In other words, project-based learning is a teaching approach that engages students in learning real-world problem and life-enhancing skills through creative, scientific, authentic, and challenging process. Besides, it is a dynamic model that focuses on engaging students with higher-order thinking skills through in-depth investigation that leads to the production of products to solve the real-life problems. According to the SKP Science KSSM Form 2, pupils are also encouraged to do project-based learning at least twice a year. The importance of project-based learning implementation are, first, to produce creative and innovative graduates as well as develop their skills for living in a knowledge-based and highly technological society. This is because the traditional lecture method is no longer sufficient to prepare students to survive in today's world. Next, PBL helps improving students' variety skills such as problem-solving skill, communication skills, organizational and time management skills, research and inquiry skills, self-assessment and reflection skills, as well as critical thinking skills. PBL as well help enhancing self-directed learning among students, effective collaboration with others, and boosting students' intrinsic motivation on learning. Last one, it also helps teachers understand the new curriculum needs and change classroom instruction to enable students develop high-performance skills necessary to succeed in the high-performance workplace in the future. Now, before we proceed, how project-based learning is being implemented? Well, in general, project-based learning is one of the educational approach within 21st century learning. As we all know, there are many 21st century learning skills that students should master, whereby most of the skills can be instilled through project-based learning approach. The examples of projects and activities within PBL are field trips, experiments, model building, research, posters, group discussion, and the creation of multimedia presentations, where students with differing learning styles demonstrate their knowledge by means of inquiry. In Project-Based Learning Handbook, there are 6 steps teachers can follow to implement project-based learning. The first step is start with the essential question. Basically, teacher could start by pose a real-world topic or problem and begin the in-depth investigation with students. However, the question should be relevant and authentic. The next step is to design a plan for the project. At this level, students will involve in the planning process. Teachers should know what materials and resources to be made accessible for students and always be prepared to go through new issues with students as they become more involved in pursuit of answers for the question. Then it continues with step 3, which create a schedule. Teachers should design a timeline for project's components. As change to the schedule might be happen, teachers should be flexible but still help students to come along well with the timeline so that they would stay on the main course. Next step is step 4, which is monitor students and project progress. This part is very crucial as teachers play a role in facilitate the process and instill love for learning. Teach them to work collaboratively, provide resources as well as guidance. Then step 5 is assess the outcome. Teachers should assess the outcome as it provides student feedback on how well they understand the information and what aspect they need to improve on. If possible, allow self-assessment among students as well. The last step is evaluate the experience. This is where the reflection process happening. Reflection is a very important part of the learning process. Teachers should encourage students to have daily reflection time, such as journaling or group reflection and discussion. Students may share ideas, feelings, experience, and discuss what worked well and what needs change. So, what are the advantages of project-based learning approach? Well, the use of technology and project-based learning bring a new relevance to learning, whereby students are encouraged to become independent workers, critical thinkers, and lifelong learners. Meanwhile, teachers can communicate and exchange ideas with other teachers and subject area experts. Next, project-based learning leads to authentic assessment. This is because PBL lets teachers to have multiple assessment opportunities as it allows students to demonstrate their capabilities while working independently and develop their teamwork ability with peers. Other than that, PBL accommodates students with varying learning styles. Here, students are having different learning styles and able to build their knowledge on varying backgrounds and experiences. Besides, it is significantly more effective than traditional method in terms to promote creative knowledge and skills of the students. And last one, many teachers perceive project-based learning was a benefit for the students as it was believed that it would motivate the students beyond academic content. So these are the examples of schools that implemented project-based learning and succeed to collaborate internationally on their projects. To sum up, project-based learning tends to be the appropriate approach to nurture students with variety important skills. The needs of students with 4C skills, which is creative, critical, communication, and collaboration, has affected the schools to implement a systematic learning methods like PBL. Project-based learning, also known as the approach that transforms teaching from teachers telling to students doing. However, teachers or supervisors also play an important role on monitor the progress of students all the way until the project is complete.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Rabiatul Adawa binti Barudin. So today I am going to present about another teaching and learning strategies in KSSM, which is cooperative learning. Since everyone knows, teachers are advised to diversify their method of teaching. so that the learning will be more fun, effective, and tailored to the needs of students that consist of a variety of background and abilities. So what is cooperative learning? Cooperative comes from the word cooperation or working together. In general, cooperative learning means learning or working together in small groups to achieve a same and specific goal. It requires students to work in groups to solve a problem, provide feedbacks, communicate, and interact with each other in a structured manner. Okay, next, the most important feature of this cooperative learning is that the success of group members depends on each other, which means group members work together to achieve the maximum level of learning, not only for themselves, but for each member in the group. Secondly, each member in the group has the same goals that makes them work hard to achieve success. Without similar goals, there will be no cooperation, and thus, no goals can be achieved. And lastly, the teacher only acts as a facilitator, which means after receiving instructions from the teacher, then the student will learn through the task given until all the members of the group successfully understand and complete the task well. Cooperative learning uses classroom rules that are capable of creating an effective team. So what are the rules? As all of you can see, the abbreviation KISSES represents classroom rules as described below. Okay, first, K stand for keep with the group. It means the student always in the team. I include everyone. It means the leader have to make sure that all members in the group involved. Next, S stand for share ideas and feeling. It means willing and ready to share feelings and ideas with the team members. Next, S stand for stay on task. It means the group members always do or working together in completing the task given. E stand for encourage others. It means the team members always give encouragement to each other. And lastly, S stand for six inch voice. It means group discussion of 2 or 4 over a distance of approximately 6 inch. So, there are 6 rules to ensure the group is effective. Did you know that cooperative learning differs from group work? This is because it has some basic principles. According to Kagan, the one who introduced this principle, he said that not all group activities can be classified as cooperative learning unless the structure meets the 4 principles mentioned below. So, PIEs are the principles of cooperative learning according to the Kagan model. What are PIEs? P-I-E-S. Okay. P stand for positive interdependence. Interdependence exists when students assume that it requires the efforts of others to complete a task. Each student must feel their fates are similar and interdependent with each other to achieve a group goal. Everyone must care about themselves as well as other friends in the group in achieving success. Strong positive interdependence within a group will be the motivation for each member to succeed. Okay, next, I stand for individual accountability. Each group member has a responsibility to learn. Cooperative groups are not only used to achieve group goals, but also aim to ensure that each group member will be a capable individual. This means that after completing a group task cooperatively, each group member must successfully complete a similar task individually. Okay, next, E stand for equal participation. Equal involvement among group members can be achieved through division or sequence of tasks. In this way, each student is given the opportunity to participate and give ideas. This way makes each student responsible and involves them equally. Okay, lastly, S stand for simultaneous interaction. Simultaneous interaction is a discussion that can take place in each group at the same time. Simultaneous interaction also can enhance or increase the active involvement among students and enhance their learning potential. That's all for basic principles of cooperative learning. Okay, now let's move on to the next slides. There are a few examples of 21st century cooperative learning method, which is the first one is think, pair, share method. This method is probably the most commonly used throughout education in terms of pair discussion. And I strongly believe that we had experienced this kind of method, right? So, how it is conducted? First thing first, the students will be given a question to answer it alone for a certain period of time. Then, in pairs, they will compare and share the answers, and later, they will present it in the class. And as you can see, the picture on the left, this method is recommended to be used in teaching and learning chemistry during assessment stage. Okay, last example of cooperative learning method is one stay, others stray. This method is simple. Let's say we have 3 students per group. Then a student will stay at the presentation table as a young teacher. Meanwhile, 2 other students who are also from the same group will stray or roam to another station to gain knowledge from the presentation of another group. By doing this activity, it will encourage students to communicate in conveying their ideas and understanding while generating creative and critical thinking during the teaching and learning process. In conclusion, cooperative learning has a good effect, especially on science learning. This is because it exposes students to communicate and share everything they have gained together. And cooperative learning also helps students to master in some skills, such as high-level thinking skills, scientific skills, 21st century skills, and problem-solving skills. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. I am Nurul Farahin binti Mustafa will present a pedagogical topic in the aspect of STEM approaches. STEM education is concept-based education, educating students in 4 areas which are science, technology, engineering, and mathematics by integrating and applying it in a real-world context. STEM education is one of the agendas emphasized in the Malaysian Education Development Plan PPPM from 2013 to 2025. STEM is important as a preparation for students to face challenges and globally competitive. Most developed countries emphasize STEM as it covers every aspect of community life and contributes to future economic progress. The student following STEM approaches has the opportunity to develop high-level thinking, innovative literate technology, capable of creating, problem-solving, make decisions as well as high prudence and independence. Several characteristics of STEM approaches were identified to guide teachers in implementing STEM in school. The several characteristics are involving the students in inquiry and open exploration, involving students to work in a productive group, give students opportunities to improve answer or product, require students to give various answer or solutions with justification, increase students' sensitivity towards the issues and real-world problems. Lastly, the students need to apply their understanding about the content in STEM. From these characteristics, the teachers must integrate the knowledge, skills, and values of the subject to solve a task or problem in the context of daily life, society, and also the environment. The STEM approach emphasizes the integration of STEM knowledge, skills, and values in conducting activities inside or outside the classroom. Here are the basic steps of teaching and learning STEM activities. Number 1 is ask questions and define problem. Number 2 is search and collect information through inquiry. Number 3 is planning and conducting investigation. Number 4 is analyze and interpret data. Number 5 is build and design solutions. Number 6, presenting products. And number 7 is improving products. Next, we will look at an example in the learning and teaching of science subject for STEM approaches. As you can see, the subject that involved is science subject, entitled Delivery of Hot Food to Victims of the Japanese Tsunami. As a result of this lesson, students need to produce a thermos prototype. So, the diagram below shows several teaching steps that teachers need to apply in the classroom. The first is the induction set. Classroom teaching can be started by showing the video Tsunami in Japan to students. The second step is scenario or situation. At this stage, the teachers should explain in detail about the video or situation based on the induction set. Next, for problem solving, the teachers can help the students to analyze the situation. They need to find facts, analyze learning issues, create action plans, find learning alternatives, and produce the best prototype. At this moment, the teachers will also give worksheets to the students, help them analyzing rubrics requirement, and supervise them in producing the best prototype from time to time. So that's all for STEM approaches. Let's proceed with conclusion.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. My name is Nur Shahidatul Husna binti Yusof. I am the last presenter in this group. I will be presenting the conclusion. In the conclusion, pedagogies are constantly evolving. As an instructor, we can develop our own method of teaching, inspired by common ones and modified for 21st century learning. A pedagogy must fit for the students and focus on helping students develop an understanding of the material beyond basic memorization and surface knowledge. Students should be able to relate concepts back to the real world and even their own lives. We already know the actual definition of pedagogy that was stated by Najiha just now, which defined as simply as the method and practice of teaching which focus on delivering of the content in class. Next, the main goal of pedagogy is to help students build on prior learning and develop skill and attitudes, while for educators is to devise and present curriculum in a way that is relevant to students, aligning with their needs and culture. Pedagogy is not about the materials used, but pedagogy is about the process itself and the strategy that are adopted by teachers that will lead to the achievement of meaningful cognitive learning. Besides, pedagogy is really important in teaching, where it will help to improve the quality of method in teaching and the way students learn, helping them gain a deeper understanding of fundamental material. Being mindful of the way the method of teaching can help for the better understanding, which will help students achieve deeper learning. The correct method of teaching can give impact to the students' perception and resulting in cooperative learning environments. The proper approach helps students move beyond simple forms of thinking as defined in the Bloom's taxonomy pyramid, like basic memorization and comprehension, to complex learning processes like analysis, evaluation, and creation. Students can leverage their preferred learning style with a teaching process that supports them and the way they like to learn. This can facilitate students not only in gaining deeper learning of subject matter, but also in applying that learning experience to their own homes and communities and to their own personal experiences and situations. Teachers also can work together with students to come up with the best way for subject matter to be studied. When the teachers found the perfect pedagogical process, this will help the interaction between the educator and learners as they share their own ideas, questions, and knowledge to explore the concepts and deepen their knowledge. Every pedagogy is different. A good starting point is to create a philosophy of teaching statement that outlines communication goal as an instructor and plan how to relate the work in the classroom to professional development once the student moves on to a career. Then design classroom experiences around this philosophy. Work with students to adapt methods to encourage positive responses and determine the way to evaluate and assess their performance. That's all from us. Thank you.